Now we're going to talk about selling, because you're maybe going to sell. Maybe you're going to sell and keep your house as an investment. Maybe you'll, maybe you're going to sell and utilize it to roll up, or maybe you'll keep it. But we already discussed the buying, so now let's discuss the selling. So please hit me with the first question that you have in regards to selling.
Yeah, so what's my first process? When I'm ready to sell my house, I decide I don't want to keep it. I'm moving to another state. I don't want to have a rental property. I just want to take the equity and leave. So what would I do? Would I just who would I contact first? A real estate agent?
Yeah, great question. So in my personal opinion, yes, you're going to want to contact a real estate agent. Now, there's other services out there that are not real estate agents necessarily. They're flat fee services. You don't get a lot of assistance necessarily with some of those. I'm not going to say all of them. I don't know about all of them, but I do know about some of them. And some of them, you're paying a flat fee for a reason. They're allowing you to put your house on the market, on the MLS, but they're not really going to assist you through the process when you get an offer, how to look at it, how to decide if it's a strong offer. If you don't know how to look for due diligence periods being shorter versus longer, financing appraisals being shorter versus longer, earnest money being less or more, closing dates, cash offer, strong borrower, pre-qualification letter being weak versus strong, calling the lenders of your potential buyers to figure out who's the best buyer potentially, then you are potentially leaving yourself for a lot of unknowns, which can be scary if it's the biggest investment of your life that you're getting ready to sell. So yes, in my opinion, yes, the very first thing you're going to do is call a real estate agent. And what that real estate agent is going to do is figure out what the value of your home is in its current condition. So they're going to come out, they're going to meet with you at your house, take a peek at it, and then based off of what they see, they can go back onto the MLS, the multiple listing service, and look at all the homes that have recently sold that are very similar in square footage, year, size, basically the things that an appraiser is going to look at to determine value. And then condition, of course, is another one, because you can't say this house that's been freshly fixed and flipped and remodeled to the T versus one that's all beat up is going to be the same price just because they're next door to each other. So they're going to look at condition. They're going to look at everything that an appraiser is going to look at to determine the value, and that's how they're going to say, this is the price I think you should list your property at, you should sell at. And that's important, because I hear a lot of people will be, they'll say, well, my neighbor got X amount of dollars, and so I was thinking about the same. And I was like, that's great. And then I'll pull comps and look at their neighbor's house, and their neighbor's was somebody like me who bought it, fixed and flipped it, and sold it for top dollar, and the house that this other person lives in, is a little rough around the edges. The price might be similar, but it's not going to be top dollar. That a fixed, brand new kitchen, brand new bath, brand new electrical, brand new plumbing, brand new roof, that's going to demand a higher asking price, a list price, than one that's been, that's rough around the edges. So determining that price is going to be then the first thing that your agent and you are going to discuss, and determine if that's, worth still selling for, or should you keep it? What's your monthly payment? I'm working with, so my cousin called me recently and had some ideas of selling his home to roll up to another home, or keeping his home as a rental and buying a second home. And I had asked him, what's your monthly payment for your house? And he shared with me that monthly payment. And that monthly payment, because that loan is older, is so small relative to what he could rent it for today. I had shared him, I said, in my opinion, if I was you, I think the smartest play is to keep your house, rent it out for cash flow, and then, move on to whatever house you want to get. But your monthly payment is so incredibly small, based off of such a low interest rate, based off of a purchase price that you purchased way back when, that this sucker will cash flow like crazy today, when the minute you move out and rent it out for market rent value, right? And so you want to look at a bunch of different factors if you're trying to decide if you can do that, keep it for an investment, or sell it and roll up like the Canadian lady did. So you'll know that based off of what you want to sell your house for. How much equity are you going to get? Now that you know how much you can sell your house for, you can calculate how much equity you'll have. Is that equity really worth taking all out and rolling up? Or could you keep that and rent it for more cash flow, which would be maybe a better position, in your life to have this extra income coming in? But once you know what that price is, then you can get ready to list it. Now, I will meet with clients who will have a house that's a little rough around the edges, not completely, but a little. And they'll ask me, if I fix my fence, should I do that before we list it? If my stove if I fix my cracked electrical stove, those glass stoves, electrical stoves, if I get a new stove in here, should I do that before we list it? They'll ask me all sorts of questions, or should I do anything to my home to improve the value? And that's a great question, because if you have the ability to improve your home, you've got let's say a budget, a small budget, a big budget, some type of budget that will allow you to improve your home, that you will return more money by the increase of your price of your home than you've spent, then I think it's a great idea. I mean, that's one of the things that I like to do, is fix and flip houses. I'll spend a bunch of money in a home because I know what I get back is worth the return, right? And so the thing that you need to be careful for, though, is not every improvement increases the value of your house. So, for example, I had a seller that I was helping, and that was the fence question. Hey, the fence door was broken. It was like one hinge was on, the other one's off, so it was like you had it did not function very well. It dangled. And they're like, so should we fix this before we list the home? And in all honesty, that fence, fixed or unfixed, is not going to increase the value of the home, right? And so I said, well, if you've got a budget to fix this, what I'd probably suggest is fixing this that I saw inside your house. And being that I fix and flip for a living, I know where to spend my money to increase the value of the home. So if you've got a little bit of a budget, you want to be super careful that you're not wasting that budget on a fence, hinge, door. He wanted to put a brand new door because it was beat up and dangling, versus maybe getting a new vanity at Lowe's for your bathroom, which is only like $300, right? A new vanity can just improve the appearance of a bathroom. A brand new vanity is so inexpensive. I like to go to Lowe's for my vanities. You can get at Home Depot too, but I kind of learned who has what based off of my taste. So I like to go to Lowe's to get my vanities and my mirrors. I go to Home Depot for a lot of other things too, but a brand new vanity that's only a couple $100, $200-300 will definitely improve the appearance of the home. It will help with the value versus fixing the fence, which to fix that fence was like $200 or $300 as well. And so we discussed what he should spend his money on, and that would allow him to ask higher for a list price than what he currently would have been able to ask at that moment. So yes, you're going to want to call a realtor, have them pull comps, figure out what the value of your house is, and then if you want to take a step further, determine if there are repairs that you want to make that will be worth the increase of value of your home to do. And worth the headache too, because living in a renovation can be a headache. So if it only increases the value of your home by $1,000 or whatever, you feel like, oh, we can maybe get $1,000 more. I mean, probably a bad example, but that might not be worth living in a remodeling project. So you got to take in those considerations as well. Yeah, and then after it's on the market, it's pretty much go time, where people are going to be walking through your house. They're going to be taking a peek at what. They're going to be, you might want to hold an open house. At least your agent might want to hold an open house there to get massive traction coming to the home. There are techniques in holding open houses to make your house feel like it needs to feel like it's a competitive home to go after, so that your offers are stronger when they come in. Like for example, for those of you out there who maybe are for sale by owner and you're not going to hire an agent, but you do want to have an open house, I typically only do a 2-hour open house, because if you have an open house all day from 9 to 5, which some people do, and I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, that's an open house for a lot of agents will use an open house to find clients, and so they might do a longer window because they want to have the availability to meet more people. But from a standpoint of a seller, if you had an open house from 9 to 5, and let's say 15 people came, it's very possible that all 15 people would come at a different time, that none of them saw one another. And so they would go home, that couple would go home and go, honey, let's lowball that house. Like, there was nobody at the open house. But if you have your open house in a 2-hour window, those 15 people will all show up at the same time, they'll all see each other, and let's just, let's call it 15 couples, that's really 30 people, all of a sudden your house looks like, holy crap, did you see how many people were at the open house? Honey, we better submit our best offer possible, right? So there's little techniques that you can utilize as a seller, but that's now the time where people are going to start to come through, and at that point you're going to hope that you get an offer. If you don't get an offer in 14 days, my go-to rule as a seller who fix and flips houses, like not a listing agent, but like the guy who actually owns the home who's selling, my go-to rule is if I don't get an offer in 14 days, I'm probably too aggressive with my price. And it doesn't hurt to try sometimes, but at that point, if 14 days have gone by, especially in this market, and you don't have at least an offer, then that's when I tell my clients, you may want to consider a price reduction, because who doesn't want more money for their home, right? So a lot of my clients were like, well, you're telling me the going rate based off comparables is this price, but can we try higher? Hey man, you can try whatever you want. I'm just telling you where I think it'll sell. And more importantly, where I think it'll appraise. But if you want to try $10,000 higher, let's go for it. But in 14 days, if we don't have anything, then you may want to consider at that point a price drop. So, any other questions?
No, not at this time actually. I'm sure I'll have a lot more coming up, but at this point right now, no. I really appreciate the information. It's been really great.
Yeah, no. I think it's been fun to answer these questions from literally somebody who's getting ready to start shopping, who has these questions that are literally coming to their head right now as we speak, based off of like, okay, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? It's one thing to like kind of think like, if I was to sell, what would happen? But it's another thing when you're like, I'm now really getting ready to sell, and so now genuine questions are popping up, and you've been asking me so many good questions. I thought it'd be very beneficial and helpful to the audience out there who is also considering selling. So if any of you missed any part of this show, please feel free to go to our website, utahhomesweethome.com. You can scroll on down to the bottom, click on the social media links. YouTube is where we host all of these shows. We actually film them. And so if you want, you can go onto YouTube, find our playlist, K-Talk playlist, and you can actually watch any show that we've ever done in the past and get all caught up on the content that's out there. So again, Utah Home Sweet Home. Jason, I want to thank you so much again for joining me today.
Oh, thank you. It's been great.
Yes, Jason just was smiling at the camera. After I said we film all these shows, he started smiling at the camera. So you can see Jason's beautiful smile. All right, well, you've all been listening to K-Talk Radio 1640 AM. Again, this is the show Utah Home Sweet Home, and I hope you all have a spectacular rest of the day. Okay, before we part ways, in case you have a dog or know someone else who does have a dog, I wanted to take a quick second to show you the Snap Leash. The Snap Leash can literally do so many things, and I'm going to share with you one of the many cool things that it can do. As you can see, the Snap Leash is designed with 2 swivel hooks, one on each end. This end has a cushion stitched into it to make it comfortable when walking your dog. Now, all you have to do is take this swivel hook, put it into this very first grommet, and now you've got your handle. Okay, so now let's imagine you're at the park and you want to secure your pet quickly, safely, and easily to a park bench, a tree, or a pole because you just want to sit down and relax. Well, all you need to do is take this swivel hook, remove it from the very first grommet, wrap this leash around any size tree or pole or park bench, and put it into the appropriate grommet, and now you have secured your pet quickly, safely, and easily. And when it's time to head home, another great feature about the Snap Leash is you can simply wrap it around your waist for hands-free walking. Lastly, if you ever accidentally forget your waist bags at home, these grommets make a great place to fasten the waist bags so you never leave home without them. And if you want to see all of the other cool things that the Snap Leash can do, then please just click on the link below and find out why so many others are falling in love with the Snap Leash.